Hey everyone, and welcome back. So now it's time to look at the new Nintendo Switch games for this week. And I have a lineup of 12 great games to look at, with 3 that are so crazy I just had to include them in the list. Now, let's jump into the games, and don't forget, if you are liking the video, hit that like button. So our first game for today is going to be Ninja 5-0. Now, if you don't know, this is actually one of the most expensive Game Boy Advance games if you would actually try to pick up an original copy. I mean, a loose copy easily goes for around $300. So the fact that we're finally getting a re-release for the Switch is some huge news for a lot of people. I mean, you could have emulated the game, but if you wanted to play it in an official capacity, this is now going to be one of the most accessible ways. Now, by the way, the game is coming out on February 25th. So there's a good chance that by the time you're watching this video, it'll already be out, and it's going to be selling for $24.99. Now, exceptionally, we're actually going to be looking at 2 different trailers for this, simply because the first one has a nice focus on gameplay, the second one has a nice focus on some animations, and it's such a big game for this week, at least in my opinion, that I definitely wanted to highlight a bit more. Now, if you're unaware, it's a 2D action platformer where, yes, you're playing a ninja cop. And overall, it is also considered one of the best Game Boy Advance games, although I will warn, it is fairly challenging. So let's take a look at the trailers. Honestly, considering how some of the Game Boy Advance games play already on the NSO, I know that it's most likely gonna scale pretty good to the Switch. So a pretty short but straightforward trailer giving us a nice look at some of the action. And let's flip right into the second one. Slightly longer, but we get some nice animation at the beginning. And some different gameplay as well, which is why I wanted to take a look at both of them, considering on how short they were individually. Oh yeah, if you play this game, you're gonna have to expect many deaths. But it came out towards the end of the Game Boy Advance cycle, and it was very underprinted, which is why the game is so expensive. On top of it ending up being pretty good, it's like a perfect storm. Like I said, super excited for this release. If you have 25 bucks to spare, if you're a fan of retro gameplay, I definitely think that this is going to be an excellent place to put your money for this week. Honestly, only good things to say about this release, and not much more to say. So let's jump straight into our next game, which is going to be Taiji. Now, this game is coming out on February 25th as well, so it will be most likely out by the time you're watching the video. It is also selling for $24.99. Now, this, on the other hand, is a pixel art puzzle game. However, the gameplay looks so different from one puzzle to the other. The pixel art looks so fantastic that I really think it's going to be quite a special release. This might actually become one of the iconic puzzle games on the Nintendo Switch if the puzzles meet up to the quality that you can see in this trailer, because the variety just keeps switching and switching from, look, this first puzzle based almost on binary code. It is actually quite impressive. Let's take a look at the trailer and you'll see what I'm talking about. Like, I still have to think about that one. I'm not quite sure why that's the solution. And I'm a fan of puzzle gameplay. I said it a lot. When I want to like sort of play a game and relax, I choose puzzle games. That's like the kind of gameplay I love to play when I want a more chill time gaming. Yeah, it's going to be a pass for people who don't enjoy puzzle gameplay, but for those who do, I think this is going to be quite a stellar release. And like I said, I think the visual presentation is beautiful as well. The music sounds extremely relaxing while you're doing this, which is always necessary because sometimes when you get stuck in a puzzle, you can get a bit frustrated. By the way, quick mention, in case any of the trailers get muted as you're watching this, it's simply because there was copyright on the trailers. They will all be linked down below. So if ever one of your favorite trailers gets muted because of copyright and you want to check out the full thing, you can always click the link down below in the description of the video. Yeah, honestly, I do like all type of games. It is very rare that there's a type of game that I do not like. There's definitely a preference, but I do enjoy pretty much every type of gaming. I would say that the one type of gaming that it has to be special for me to really enjoy is rhythm-based gaming. But when I really like a game in rhythm-based gaming, I really like it. And it's just because naturally, I don't have a lot of rhythm. So it is a personal weakness there. So that is pretty much it for Taiji. So I do think that it is going to be a great pickup for puzzle fans. Next, if we jump to our next game, we are looking at February 26th. And the game is I See Red, which is a twin-stick shooter with a really original visual presentation. I have a feeling this is going to be a very challenging game. And honestly, I love the visceral pixel art here, because you'll see that a lot of the gameplay, it looks very visceral, very minimalistic in its art style, but it seems to deliver what it's looking to do. Now, this game is going to be selling for $10.99, so it's actually a pretty budget pickup as well. Can I guarantee that it's going to be stellar, the gameplay-wise? No, because I can see that it could go either way. With how the gameplay is set up, it's either going to be really good or it's going to have some issues. So let's take a look. Love the music, by the way. For a game like this, hard pumping, like heavy music is the perfect way to go. I'm trying to remember the game that we played recently that it reminds me of. It was Hell something. But basically, it was a twin-stick shooter, very small level based, and you had to survive waves of enemies. It reminds me somewhat of that, but this seems to be more room-based. Yeah, exactly. Nexus Creed in the chat knows what I'm talking about. But I think it's going to be one of those games, like I said, it's going to be, it feels like it's going to be a challenging experience. I'm glad to see it releasing at only $11 because that's going to give it a chance. It means some people are going to be worth taking the plunge, taking the risk on it. And the visual style is extremely appealing to me. Yes, the one I died a lot in. Yes, I died a lot in that game. So, I See Red. I think you might want to wait for a review or two, or at least a bit of gameplay, like actually someone playing it on YouTube. But if it turns out to be a decent game for $11, this could be a stellar pickup for this week as well. Now, we get to one of the bigger releases for the week. We already talked about Ninja 5.0, but I think this is going to be another extremely big release for this week for a lot of people. And that is the Yu-Gi-Oh! Early Days Collection, which is releasing on February 27th. And it'll be selling for $49.99. So it is a pretty expensive collection. But just to be clear, you're getting 14 Yu-Gi-Oh! Games in the collection. Now, these are from the Game Boy and most of the portable consoles. So it starts some from the Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advanced, and I think one or two from the DS, but I can't guarantee you because I don't know each and every one of these games. I'll be totally honest, I wasn't the biggest Yu-Gi-Oh! Fan growing up. I knew a bit of the anime. I played a couple of the games on the portable, but I couldn't even remember which ones I actually played. However, I do think from what I've seen so far, some of the games in this collection are considered to be some really good Yu-Gi-Oh! Games. Some others are only passable, but some of them are actually considered to be pretty good Yu-Gi-Oh games. So I do think that if you are a fan of the Yu-Gi-Oh series, especially if you have nostalgia for the games on the portable consoles, this might actually be a really fun collection to pick up. Now, $40 feels like a lot, but if you divide it by 14 games, that's about $3.50 a game. It is, like I said, not too bad. I do believe, however, if you have a bit of patience and you don't need to pick this up day one, it is the kind of collection that most likely will receive a pretty solid discount, I would say within the next 3 months. So if you can wait a bit, I would do so for this one for this week. However, if not, and you don't mind spending the money, I don't think you'll regret it considering the quantity of games you're getting here. So let's take a look at the trailer and we'll see exactly what we're talking about. They only give little tidbits of each one of the games. So like I said, starting out in the old Game Boy. And you have some of the offshoot games as well, so not only the card games. So like I said, the original one from Game Boy. And then you got Yu-Gi-Oh! 2 on the color. This one, Dark Duels, I'm thinking it's still Game Boy Color if I'm not mistaken. And this one too, I'm pretty sure is still color. It's Yu-Gi-Oh! 4. Eternal Duelist. I think we're still on the color here. It's the next one that goes to the advanced. Yeah. I do think, if I'm not mistaken, it's the advanced games that are among some of the more considered to be better games. But once again, I don't want to go too far in that because I'm not a Yu-Gi-Oh! Specialist. But like I said, you're getting 14 games is a big collection. And here they're going to talk about a few of the offshoots. This, I have no idea what it is. Looks like it's sort of like an RPG. Dungeon Dice Monsters. And Destiny Board Traveler. So like a board game type. Oh yeah, I think you're even going to have the ability to rewind during the duels on top of it. So online play. Hidden characters, cards, and more. That I think was already part of the original games. You can rewind, fast forward, or reset the duels, which is something that's new from what I can tell. Oh, and yes, I saw the digital gallery with the actual manuals, which is something I said that should be included in almost every retro collection. That is something that honestly, every company out there doing retro collections needs to consider, is scans of the original manuals. There's like no reason not to include that in these collections. They did that for the TMNT Kawabunga collection, if I'm not mistaken. I'm glad to see that they're doing this here for the Yu-Gi-Oh! Collection as well, especially that some of these games, the controls are maybe not going to be as easy to understand as you think, and the manuals are going to go a long way to helping you, because don't forget, a lot of these games don't have any tutorials built in, because this is back in the day where you sort of had to read the manual before playing the game. So I do think this one, you're either in or you're out, in the sense that if you have nostalgia for these games, it's going to be an easy pickup. If you've never played these games, you might want to wait for a sale, because like I said, I think you'll have to have nostalgia to really get into the older ones. Maybe the Game Boy Advance ones and the earlier ones are going to be you'll be able to get into for anyone, but especially for the Game Boy era ones, I think nostalgia will play a big factor here. But a really nice collection to finally be seen hitting the Nintendo Switch. I think a lot of these games were pretty hard to find nowadays, but it is what it is. So we have Yu-Gi-Oh! Early Days Collection on the 27th. Next, We have Vertical Kingdom, and I really don't know why my trailers are playing automatically when I touch them. It is really annoying. But next we have Vertical Kingdom, releasing on February 27th. This game will be selling for $19.99. There is a pre-release discount dropping it to $17.99. And this is a really original card-based city builder. I'm not sure what to expect, but I'm really liking the visuals, and the strategy element to the city builder genre feels like it could actually be something pretty interesting. And it's reminding me a lot of one of those more casual city builders where there's really no pressure and it's more just about this fun of building as you go through the different eras and whatnot. The price also seems pretty competitive for the genre, but I would have maybe liked to see it around $15. It does depend on the end how much content is going to be included here, but I do think this one would have been an easier sell around $15 considering the pixel art and all that. But let's take a look at the trailer. I still think that this is one to keep an eye on for this week. Like I said, there's card-based mechanics. It's a roguelite game as well. So I'm not exactly sure how the roguelite components play in here. So it's a pretty short trailer. I would have liked them to maybe get a little more into the details of the gameplay to really solidify it. I do think this is going to be a maybe game for this week, however. So some of the games I sometimes say wait for reviews, it's maybe suggested. This one I would definitely wait for a review. But I do think it is definitely worth keeping an eye on if you are a strategy fan, especially if you're a strategy roguelite fan. This is definitely going to be one you're going to want to have on your watch list because I feel it could go either way. If it turns out to be a really good game, it could be one of those really, really good games. And at $20, it feels like an okay place to be. Although, like I said, I would have liked it to be maybe a $5 cheaper here. So that is a Vertical Kingdom. Next, we get to another one of what I would say is a bigger release for this week. And that is going to be Glover. Now, I have a love-hate relationship with this game. If you're a fan of AVGN, the Angry Video Game Nerd, you know that he's recently done an episode dedicated on Glover. And how, for some people, this game has very bad memories. And I'm going to say I'm one of the people that this game has pretty bad memories for. So when I think of Glover, I don't remember a great, fun game. I remember an extremely frustrating game. However, if the remake addresses the control issues, and you actually watch the AVGN video and you see the second version of the game that plays a lot better than the PS1 version, because I played it on the PS1. I think it was on the Nintendo 64, if I'm not mistaken. That plays a lot better. There's actually maybe a really fun game hidden here. And this is going to be a remake remaster. So maybe they smoothed out the controls and maybe Glover can finally get the attention it deserves. So let's take a look at the trailer. And if you've never heard of Glover before, it's basically a 3D platformer where you play a sort of, I'm going to say a humanoid glove, but you're basically a glove with like a person drawn on it that needs to carry a ball across different areas. And that's all about the game, is that you need to get the ball basically through the different levels. And that is Glover. Glover is back. Is that a good thing? I don't know. So there's a couple of actions you can do with the ball. You can pick it up, you can bound, you can dribble it, you can do a couple of actions, but basically trying to control the ball and not having it fall off the platforms is the main challenge. This is like almost like a Frogger-like level there. Like, you have no idea how many bad memories this is evoking in me right now, because I'm like, all this looks crazy fun, but there's also extreme frustration moments in this. So this game is going to be releasing basically on February 27th, and I forgot to mention the price, $19.99. The one thing I'm really happy here is they went with a pretty budget price for this, because I'm not going to lie, Glover was a full price game when it came out on those other consoles. So the fact that they're re-releasing it for $20 actually feels good. Now, it depends also on how good the rework is. If this is just a simple port with nothing, $20 is just okay. But if it's a rework that actually addresses the control issues and makes the game even more playable, it could be something really good. Now this one, once again, definitely wait for some comments on it before dropping the $20, unless you are a huge fan of Glover and you already know you love the game from the original consoles. Then for all intents purposes, you can jump on this. But if you've never heard of it before, maybe wait for a comment or two, check out the AVGN video, and you'll understand why some people have some terrible nightmares about this game. But overall, nonetheless, I think this was a definite awesome release for this week. I had to mention it, although I am unsure whether it's going to turn out to be an actual awesome purchase. So, with Glover out of the way, we are getting to another game for this week that actually has me pretty excited. And that is Freddy Farmer. Okay? Now, Freddy Farmer is going to be releasing on February 27th for only $4.99. Now, why am I so excited about this game? Well, it's because it's coming to us from a publisher that releases modern takes on retro arcade games, which is Flynn's Arcade. And I've got to say, they've released a lot of really good games. Like, they've released Goliath Depot. They've released Donut Dodo. They've released, oh my God, there's another one that I'm missing right now. But basically, they release a lot of awesome takes on modern retro arcade games, but that really chase after the feeling of those 80s arcade games, those 80s, 90s arcade games. And Freddy Farmer looks like an amazing take on those arcade games. And if it is a good game at only $5, this is going to be a stellar release. And by the way, most of their games release at between $5 to $10. Like, they are pros at releasing games at extremely budget prices. They have simple gameplay loops. However, they are challenging, they are fun, and they are replayable. And especially if you're a score chaser, these games are going to turn out to be great little arcade games. So if you're a fan of those Pac-Mans, Dig Dugs, those kind of games, Burger Time, you're going to feel right at home with these games. Like I said, most of them feel like a long-lost game from the 80s or 90s that was just been rediscovered. So let's take a look at the trailer and you'll see what I'm talking about. And yes, it's from Catcade, so Topaz is going to love this game. So you have to collect the ingredients. 5 different worlds with 7 levels in each one. Might not sound like a lot, but trust me, a lot of these games, it's going to take you a while to finish the levels. Visuals look great. Gameplay, I'm loving the designs. Special Game Boy themed little underworlds. Now I'm telling you, this could be one of their best games on top of it. Donut Dodo, by the way, stellar game. It's on sale right now for $2.50, by the way, if you don't know. Freddy Farmer. This is going to be my surprise pick of the week. If you, like I said, like arcade games, you want to take a chance. $5, I don't think you can go wrong with this game. I think it's going to be a stellar surprise pick for this week. Most people will not even notice it on the eShop for this week, and it's sad because it's probably going to turn out to be a really good game. Like I said, so far, I don't remember playing a Flynn's arcade game that hasn't turned out to be good. The other one I forgot was Cash Cow. If you haven't played Cash Cow, stellar arcade game once again. Okay, moving on. Now we're getting into the really weird stuff for this week. Okay? But the next one is the least weird of the weird games. And that is going to be Omega 6, the Triangle Stars. Now, this is a 16-bit adventure RPG that is based on an anime that was actually created by the art director of Star Fox, Majora's Mask, and what else did he do? He did another really iconic Nintendo game. But basically, it's based off of his characters. And honestly, it looks extremely interesting. Now, it is one of those like first-person text-based adventure RPGs, but I have a sneaky suspicion that it's going to turn out to be a really solid one. Now, this game is going to be releasing on February 27th, and it's going to be selling for $24.99. However, there is a pre-release discount of 40% off, and I'm thinking this is a marketing strategy to get a few people to try out the game and find out whether it's good or not. For the moment, you can pick it up for $14.99. So if you think that this looks good, I rarely say to buy something on the pre-order, but for 40% off, if you want to take a chance, it is worth it, I would say. Of course, if you want to wait for a review and see if it's good, the problem is you might end up paying $24.99 if it does end up being a good game. But let's take a look at the trailer and you can decide for yourself what you think about this game. It's Takaya Imamura's anime, Omega 6. Like I said, it's a first-person text-based RPG. If you didn't grow up with these, they were iconic once again in like the 80s, early 90s. There is combat, however, and it's card-based combat. So the combat system does look pretty interesting. You can see just that ship, you can sort of see the Star Fox influence. This is going to be my funky pick for the week. Like, if you like funky comic book style anime, I think this game could turn out to be something special. And the visuals are honestly very nice. Like, the pixel art is high quality. The use of colors is really good. So like I said, Omega 6, the Triangle Stars. Once again, and it's gonna be like this for this week because some of these games you just connect with the trailers and you have this feeling that there's something that's going to be special about it. And yes, it is a imitation 16-bit. So they are clearly trying to emulate 16-bit art styles. But you just connect with them and you just have this sneaky suspicion that there's going to be something special about this game. Now, if you think this game was weird, get ready. Because we're getting into some weird shit for this week, okay? The next 3 games are going to be, like, weird. Now, the first one we're going to take a look at is Antipaint. Now, Antipaint is coming out on February 27th. It's going to be selling for only $7.99. Now, this is a paintastic roguelike shooter where as you clear a level, you basically create a painting. It is weird as hell, but it's not even the weirdest game on the list. That will be reserved to our next game. But there's a certain genius to the gameplay at the same time. So let's take a look at the trailer because it's indescribable. You just have to sort of see it in action. So you're basically battling famous paintings. And what I love is that the gameplay seems to switch on each level. Once again, it's like an arena-based roguelike shooter. Simple, but don't forget how simple Vampire Survivor was, and it turned out to be an amazing game. I'm digging this too. Like, I don't know, man. Antipaint. Now, yeah. Can I guarantee that this is going to be a good game? No. But oh my God, does it have me interested. And it doesn't look like one of those cheaply made like games. Like the design choices seem very deliberate here. It's not like, oh, let's make a cheap game. It's like, this is an artistic choice to make the game look like this. And the ideas seem extremely creative. Yes. So I definitely think if you want to give a chance to something that might be far out there, this could be the one. And you know what? This could be a candidate for gameplay on Thursday. After the Pokemon Direct, if we do decide to do variety gaming, this guy could be a front runner. So we might get to figure out if this is a awful or a good game this week. But I would keep it on my radar. Antipaint on the 27th, only $7.99. On top of it, a pretty freaking budget price point. Now, next, we have the absolute... Oh, no, I'm going to reserve it. Wait, we're going to do this one first because I grabbed the wrong trailer. We're going to do this one first. We're going to keep the weirdest one for the before last game because it's the last game that we're going to talk about for the 27th since we go in chronological order. Let's look at this one. This one seems weird, but it seems weird understandable. The next one is the freaky one. This one is My Night Job. Now, this game is also coming out on the 27th. It'll be selling for $12.99. Now, this game is, you're supposed to basically try to survive a night job in a home that is being attacked by waves of enemies. The art style looks extremely appealing. And once again, if they get the gameplay right, this could end up being a really fun game. And at $12.99, it's priced competitively enough where if it turns out to be some pretty fun gameplay, it's actually really well placed as well price-wise. So let's take a look at the trailer because once again, these last 3 games are really hard to describe. And the art style really looks like 90s cartoon animation. Like Ren and Stimpy, those kind of cartoons. So we have to clear out the monsters. So everything's going to depend on how clean the controls are and the gameplay. But the art style is fantastic. It's out there, but it's out there fun. So you basically have to clear out the monsters, you have to save people. Yeah, the music is crazy. If you're listening to the lyrics, the music is freaking hilarious. Once again, though, the trailer is just a bit short. It's hard to get a good idea of the full-out gameplay, how it's going to play out. But yeah, it is definitely like, oh my, like there's something about these games this week that I'm like, where the heck are they coming from? And I've got to tell you, I skip all the games that I have no confidence in. These are long shots, but I think they are decent long shots. Because if they get the gameplay right, the gameplay idea is actually really, really fun. So, my Niight Job, another one to keep an eye out for this week. Keep an eye out for some gameplay. Like I said, I can't guarantee it, but on Thursday, we just might have some fun with these kind of games. Now, we are going to get to the really weird one. Now, I know I've been saying it a couple of times, but this one takes the cake, the definite cake. Now, give me a second here. I'm going to just pause all these trailers so that we stop getting like tidbits of the audio. And I think I just figured out why they were doing that. Now, not only is the game looking crazy, but the trailer is insane. So the game is The Zebra Man. It is coming out on February 27th. It sells normally for $14.99, but there is a pre-release discount of bringing it down to $11.24. Now, the one thing I have to say about these trailers is they don't give, once again, an overall great idea of the gameplay. But the trailers are so freaking crazy with live action parts, that there's no way I couldn't show them for this week because they're just like out there. The closest I can get from a feeling of the gameplay is it seems to have like Hotline Miami influences. Like when you do see tidbits of the gameplay and tidbits of action, it makes me feel of that top-down Hotline Miami type gameplay, over the top, but not as polished, however, but at the same time, there seems to be more storyline elements here. So let's take a look. There's 2 trailers we're going to look at for the Zebra Man because I want to get as much view of the gameplay as we can, but let's take a look.
You good motherfucker. Huh? What?
It opens up great.
Yo, can't talk right now. I'm playing the Zebra Man. You know it?
I love how he's holding a Nintendo controller, an NES controller.
Shit. Here we go again. The Zebra Man. It's an 8-bit grindhouse adventure filled with self-defense classes.
An 8-bit grindhouse adventure.
Characters. And a very interesting humor.
It's zebra time.
I love how you just see puta madre there. Like,
The story is divided in 5 dope-ass chapters, which are Breaking Free, The Most Delightful Day Ever, Unholy Business, Midnight Psycho, and Missing Reels. Oh, right. There are also some, let's say, twists in the story. For example, I'm one of the characters. Me! I mean, can you even imagine what the reviews will be like?
The zebra.
Like, honestly, I'm speechless because I just don't know what to say about it.
We'll be a bit delayed to cancels, cause they're censoring the shit out of us. But in Steam, you can play it today. Although, not today. Right fucking now!
Are you... Yeah, when I said I kept the craziest for the last of the 27 games, I wasn't joking. Is there a little bit left? No, I don't...
Superman.
Oh, yeah. Okay, and just because this was so awesome, we have to watch part 2 of the trailer. This one has a little bit more gameplay. It's a little more straightforward. It's not as much crazy stuff, but I just wanted to take a more look at the gameplay. So you have to escape a secret lab. Explore the city. Pet the dog. Or be pure chaos. So the game looks awesome. Honestly, it looks awesomely crazy. Why did Chap Dancer delete all Nexus's Creed's messages? Did you block Nexus Creed? Okay, I'll get into that later. But yeah, the Zebra Man. Like, I'm rarely speechless during trailers, but I was speechless. Okay, that game looked insanely amazing is the only word I can say. And honestly, yeah, $14.99. This might be worth streaming. Now, apparently it's going to be censored as hell on the Switch. That's what he says in the trailer. In Steam, apparently we can play the uncensored version. I didn't check out reviews. I purposely try to not all the time check out reviews when we do these, just because I want to get my reactions from the trailers. I want to see what we can see from the trailers and get like an honest reaction from them. But it's something that might be a good idea if you want to maybe pick this up. Check on Steam to see what the game is getting. Now we have one game left for this week. It is the Soul game coming out on the 28th. And that is a Justice Ninja Casey that is going to be selling for $5.99. And it is the port of an SNES game from Japan that never made its way to the Western side of the world. And basically, it makes me think a lot of the SNES River City games. Okay? It makes me think a lot of those games. It seems to be like a side-scrolling, like beat-em-up action game. And at $5.99, it's a pretty good budget price. However, I wasn't able to find any reviews on the original game in Japan to see if it was well regarded or not. But it looks pretty solid from the action here. And at this budget price point, if you're a fan of retro gaming, you like games that were never really available in North America before, this can be possibly a really interesting pickup. Let's take a look at the trailer. It does look, however, like a pretty straightforward port, however. Maybe just like remastered in HD. Not even, because there's, no, the screen is bordered. But But honestly, for an SNES game, the animation looks pretty solid. The pixel work looks really interesting. There's slight Oh yeah, I remember reading the description. There are slight RPG elements. So there's actually two gameplay modes. You have a straightforward like action mode where you don't have RPG mechanics, and then there's a story mode where you do have progression. So you're going to be able to build up your character as you play through the game. But honestly, it looks solid for an SNES game, and there's co-op included as well, so you can play with a friend. Really, really interesting pickup. And at only $6, it could be a steal. On top of it, it's a Sunsoft game. A lot of the Sunsoft games that didn't make it here are like little hidden gems. So I would not discount this game. This could be a really nice pickup for only $6. So there we have it. The new Nintendo Switch games for this week. And we looked at 12 games, going from some pretty solid pickups to some really far out there crazy ideas that just might turn out to be some pretty great games. Let me know in the comments down below, what was your favorite game from the 12 games listed this week. Also, let me know if I maybe missed out on any games that you think I should have highlighted that maybe I missed and I didn't see on the list. As usual, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe if you aren't already, and click on that notification bell. And as usual, I hope I'll see you guys in my next video.